Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X, Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome back to the latest edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. Why I boycotted The Acolyte. I've spoken about The Acolyte very briefly, the most recent Star Wars streaming show on Disney+. But I want to tell you and answer my critics why I boycotted the show. No, I'm not against diversity and representation. I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. Olive skin, Greek Cypriot parents. I was born and raised in the UK. I've faced racism and bigotry myself. So shut the F up and listen to me explain. Right, the first reason I boycotted The Acolyte is I have 5 nieces. Most of my friends are female, both inside and outside the entertainment industry. I couldn't comprehend how Kathleen Kennedy came to the decision to recruit the former personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein, one of the most notorious figures in Hollywood fucking history. He's been convicted of a multitude of abuses against women. How was his former personal assistant deemed as a good figure to create a Star Wars television show? Please tell me. But Mick, what do you mean she didn't do anything wrong? I can't sit here and tell you that I can prove that she did anything wrong. But as far as I'm concerned, it's guilty by association. That's right, I've said it. That's my opinion. I can't prove that she did anything wrong. I can't prove she knew of what Weinstein did or was any way involved in what Weinstein did. Right? But if you're asking for my opinion without any evidence or proof, and it's just my opinion, I believe it is guilt by association. And at the end of the day, I just look at her and I don't trust her. She frightens the shit out of me. Just by looking at her, the woman scares me. So my opinion is that she had full knowledge of what he was doing. That's my opinion. I cannot prove it. I don't know it for a fact. It's just my fucking opinion. Only in Hollywood would the former personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein get a huge role like that. To be in charge of a Star Wars show. So she was associated with this guy. So as an uncle of nieces, as a friend to many women, there's no way I could support that woman running a Star Wars show. And if Kathleen Kennedy thought she had right on her side before because she's been bullied by Star Wars fans, from the moment she appointed that woman to create a Star Wars TV show, her innocence, her virtue signalling, her victim status was over. And that is the predominant reason why I boycotted The Acolyte. Now, I didn't see The Acolyte. I've seen clips, I've seen trailers, I've spoken to people who have watched it. They've given me all the information about the show. And as I guessed, again, bad representation and inclusion. Let's talk about this. There are so many talented, good young women in Hollywood and outside of Hollywood who could have ran a Star Wars show, a brilliant, diverse, compelling Star Wars show. Why is it that every time these people have an opportunity to do diverse filmmaking or diverse television, they do it badly? They do it lazily. Because the real intention isn't to be positive in diversity and representation. That's the fact of the matter. It's about blaming, it's about, gaslighting, finger waving. It's everything the extreme left do. We know Hollywood don't like to recruit outside of itself. Now, old Hollywood used to be just the same, just recruit each other. The difference is old Hollywood had talent to burn. But new Hollywood doesn't. You see, old Hollywood was run by bad people who had a determination to make great entertainment. And new Hollywood is run by bad people who don't believe being entertaining is their responsibility. They think social justice, social commentary, gaslighting, and swearing at Donald Trump is their responsibility. Is it any wonder that I believe within 20 years there won't even be a Hollywood? There may not even be any English entertainment anymore. So I had no intention to watch The Acolyte. In truth, I haven't watched any D+ Star Wars since Kenobi, when they all accused us of being racists. Enough was enough. Enough was enough. They had an opportunity to do a great Obi-Wan Kenobi show. They even had Hayden Christensen involved. Wow! It wasn't all bad. That flashback episode with Anakin and Obi-Wan was amazing. But the good stuff was few and far between, as we already know. So, I never had any intention of watching it, but how can I watch something run by the former personal assistant, run by someone who's the former personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein? I mean, be serious. And to all the people out there with blue and red hair, pretending you watched the show and you're upset by its cancellation because of the racist fans and nonsense and the bigots and nonsense like that. The fans didn't sink The Acolyte. The Acolyte was sunk before it started. The Acolyte never stood a chance because the reasons for its existence weren't to be good Star Wars, wasn't to be positive in diversity and representation and inclusion. It wasn't about that. If you want to be representative and inclusive, cast the best inclusive actors, right? Not just anyone. Not Amanda Stenberg because she has Hollywood DNA and her posture's great on the casting couch, Miss Headland. It wouldn't surprise me, boys and girls, if that's how she was cast. And of course, there was that moment when Amanda Stenberg posted a song that she wrote and danced to on Instagram. Now, I think Miss Stenberg is gay, which is a shame, because I must admit, when she was dancing to that song, I was very aroused. She's a very attractive woman, isn't she? But anyway, I digress. I probably shouldn't have said that, but hey, I'm a red-blooded Mediterranean male. I can't help myself. But when you get to that stage, when someone makes a song because she can't handle the fact that nobody's watching her fucking TV show, you are in an era that cannot be explained, cannot be catalogued. So people told me what this show was. And there's so many flaws. And here's the thing. Let's just say Nerdrodic is a racist, right? Let's just say all the people who hated on this and did videos about it are racists. Didn't you give them the excuses that they were looking for by making a show that made no narrative sense, no logic, burnt down the prequels of Star Wars, and was about third-wave feminism yet again? The whole thing about how children are conceived. It was aggressive. What did you expect was going to happen here? So these companies are losing money hand over fist doing shit like this. But even if this was good, I wouldn't have watched it because Leslie Headland was involved. But Leslie Headland doesn't even have the talent to be creating a Star Wars show and writing it wherever else she did. Forget the fact that her connections with the most notorious figure in Hollywood history. Even if that wasn't the case, what is that woman doing? Producing a Star Wars TV show. It makes no sense whatsoever. She should never have been there. And I believe this is the rod that's broken the camel's back in terms of Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy. This is the end for her now. Because she recruited someone, a problematic figure. Now, Bob Iger doesn't give a shit about that, if it worked out well. But Nothing Kennedy has done has worked out well since The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens made $2 billion. She was up in the clouds. No one could touch her. The Last Jedi made just about $1 billion, but people hated it. Most Star Wars fans hated it so much, she had to start ducking for cover, but her protection was that it did make $1 billion at the box office. And then, was it The Last Skywalker, whatever that film's called? What is that? Whatever it's called anyway. What is that third one called? It's not The Last Skywalker, whatever. I always get it wrong. Anyway, that crept up eventually to $1 billion. Wouldn't surprise me if they lied about that figure as well. So the damage was well and truly done. But still, it was fixable. But then we went to the D+ shows. At first, The Mandalorian was pretty good. Then it became pretty bad. Then there was the Boba Fett show, which was as dull as dishwater. I've spoken about that before. How you can't have a Boba Fett show. Boba Fett isn't interesting enough to have a TV show or a movie about. Said that before, boring, let's not go over that again. But you look at all her decisions. You look at the Solo movie. Who told her it was a good idea to have a Solo movie without Harrison Ford? Who told her that was a good idea to make a film about Solo, where he's fucking the Millennium... No, Han Solo isn't fucking the Millennium Falcon. The other one is, yeah? He's fucking the... Lando Calrissian was fucking a computer. Yeah. Yes! This is your Disney. This is your Lucasfilm. This is your Kathleen Kennedy. This is where we are in entertainment today. Don't forget where we started. Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, Laura and fucking Hardy, pioneers. The Wizard of Oz, the musical era. We started from that. And now we're here. And we got women and blokes in green and red hair doing videos like this crying. Because why at Disney? All of a sudden they're taking the toys away from the shops, everything. It's like what happened with Willow. Willow was such a disaster, they withdrew everything. And I don't know what they did with it. I don't know if they sold it to collectors, I don't know. And this is what's going to happen to the Acolyte. They're going to bury every trace of it. It won't be on D+ for very long. You won't be able to buy, not that you were going to fucking buy, the toys and shit like that. Imagine, Iger was very proud of himself when he bought Lucasfilm. We all thought the potential was limitless. They announced that they were going to have a Star Wars movie every year. That wasn't the problem, by the way. That's not the reason they fucked Star Wars up. Because Iger tried to lie and distract us from the real reasons, which was creative bankruptcy, extremism, propaganda, and the culture war. Instead, they said, we shouldn't have done a movie a year, it was too much. This is Disney. You could easily make a great Star Wars movie a year. There's people there. You've got set decorators, graphic designers. There's lots of directors out there and writers who could make great Star Wars. You could have had a fully fledged movie every year. But what you should never have done is ever had Star Wars streaming shows, just like you shouldn't have Marvel streaming shows. It all should be in the cinema. They're all the same, trying to devalue cinema for streaming. WB are doing it with Max right now, with Harry Potter, the Green Lantern Corps, and it's wrong. And I've spoken about that before. It is wrong. Devaluing the old TV model and devaluing cinema is one of many reasons, two of many reasons, why entertainment is in the dustbin right now. And there's so many reasons. They do not know what to do next. They are fucked. They fucked themselves up. And shows like The Acolyte are part of the reason. How can you feel sorry for an injury? An injury? So let me say that again. How can you have any sympathy for an industry that gives you The Acolyte? It's nothing. It's dull. It's boring. It doesn't work. Where's all the good entertainment gone, everyone? Can you see it? Is there any? No. It's mostly all gone. You might get one or two good things, right? Now and again. But basically, they bought Lucasfilm for Star Wars, and They've lost money. They're not making money from Star Wars. Forget what they're saying officially. They are not. It is not possible. They haven't made money from the streaming shows. Because all of a sudden, after the third one of the sequel trilogy, still can't remember the title of that movie, they decided to go to streaming because they made such a mess of the movies. They made an even bigger mess of the Star Wars streaming shows. It doesn't matter whether you're on streaming or you're making films for the cinema screen. It's still the same problem. So then we went from bad to worse. They announced a Rey movie. They recruited a woman, another third-wave feminist, something Shinoy, I think her surname is. I can't remember. I'm crap with other names, let alone ones that are hard to pronounce. But anyway, so a lot of old statements were found of what she was saying, and she was saying a lot of negative things about men. Of course, the fandom men has found this stuff and leaked it online. Again, that situation isn't good. The public have seen her belief system. They're not. Look, why are you doing a Rey movie? Why? You saw the divide, the character of Rey, what the character of Rey did in the sequel trilogy. It isn't Daisy Ridley's fault. I feel bad for her. I really do. But they had an opportunity to create a great female Star Wars character, and they failed. Now they want Rey to limp in her own movie, and this is not a confirmation of a trilogy. At the moment, it's just a one and done until they see how they do. Well, I can tell them how they're going to do. If they do well at all, it's going to be very, very 500, 600 million. It's not going to be big. Unless people have missed Star Wars in cinemas. Maybe. People will be excited. I don't know. But it can only, for me, end up being a disaster. Then we've got The Mandalorian. We've got The Mandalorian, whatever it's called. Grogu and Mando, or whatever they're calling it, right? So they're spinning off a streaming show to cinema. Is this the level of the imagination of the people making Star Wars today? The potential, everyone. The potential. Anyone who's picked up a fan novel, the extended universe, or played on a Star Wars game, knows the potential of stories out there. But from the moment they fucked up the return of Luke and Leia and Han, which should have been the jumping off point. A lot of people talk about the Skywalker saga and how it should have been wrapped up and then moved on. Listen, there's lots of different things you can do. Yes, the Skywalker saga is the popular element of Star Wars. And there's a lot of great ways to continue that, or to have continued that. But they fucked that opportunity up. There's still ways of having a great Skywalker saga. Now, there's some of us who think they should move away from the Skywalker saga, implement new planets, new characters, new universes. They're all to do with Star Wars. I've said this before, it's very, very difficult to continue Star Wars. Really, it's a bit like the recipe for Coca-Cola. It's only George Lucas, really, who understands that. And he's too old to do anything now. So these are the things they should have thought about before they paid a record amount of money for Lucasfilm. So now they're in trouble. But they could have made great, solid little Star Wars movies. I mean, Ahsoka is a great character. They haven't done her justice in the Ahsoka series. We could have had an Ahsoka movie. But I think the best thing they could have done after the sequel trilogy would have been Clone Wars in live action. That would have been great to do, because it would have been a little add-on after episode 2 of the prequels. That could have been something everyone enjoyed. You could have had Hayden, you could have had Ewan, fully in a movie like that. Could have been a trilogy or something, whatever. And you could have had Ahsoka in live action properly. So there was lots of potential. There still is lots of potential in live action Star Wars. But there's nobody. Look, it doesn't matter what happens. While Kennedy is there, live action Star Wars can't progress because she's insane. I'm sorry, but the woman is insane. I'm not against diversity and representation. It's the way she does it and the rest of Hollywood do it. That's my problem. Because they're not genuine. They're not genuine about representation. How can you talk about representation and inclusion when you're an industry that only recruits your own fucking people? I mean, come on! Come on, everyone! Jesus Christ! If I had the energy and I hadn't just woken up, I'd fucking giggle my lungs out. I'm a smoker, I can't do that first thing in the fucking morning. But fucking hell! They're talking about inclusion, representation, when all they do is recruit their own people. So where is the representation and inclusion when you only recruit your own fucking people? The guy, again, name I forgot, the late guy who died, great guy, great actor, who played Black Panther. Well, he had Hollywood DNA. So that wasn't real representation and inclusion. Most of the people, even the black people, even the Asian people, right, have all got Hollywood DNA. So there's no true representation. We all know that. So how can you talk about representation and inclusion when you only recruit your own people? Come on, people. Wake the fuck up. It's a joke. My dad taught me everything about these fuckers and what they're like. So I know them. Now, I used to tolerate them as a fan of entertainment growing up because they made fucking great entertainment. That's why I used to tolerate them and their little ways. But how can I tolerate them now when they're not even making great entertainment? They're burning down the fabric of the thing I grew up adoring and loving. Do you understand me? So please don't tell me Hollywood, power of women, THR round fucking table, that you know anything about representation and inclusion. These people think all women are the same. So if one woman gets represented, all women get represented. What does a woman in Hollywood who's never left California before know about being a strong woman? You're all fucking millionaires. You all lay in jacuzzis and swimming pools all day when you're not acting and performing and doing whatever else you fucking do. You don't know what it's like to be a strong woman. It's the women in the blimmin' council estates raising 3 or 4 kids on their fucking own. Or the women who have been raped and abused with no one to take care of them. It's the young girls being told by their dads that they're fat and having shit put in their fucking heads. They're the strong women and girls of the world. Bad parents. I actually spoke on Snapchat today about if it was up to me, if I was president of the world, everyone would have a psychological evaluation in 6 months. I'd be fucked then. And you'd need a license to be a parent. I know I'm changing the subject. Anyway, but what I'm talking about is strong women. Because I'm fed up of them talking about strong women. As I say, they don't give a shit about working class women. They think they're the only women on the fucking planet. They're just representing each other. Everyone should see themselves on the screen. I'm a supporter of representation and inclusion for one reason, that it's not just white people who live on this planet. We live in a cosmopolitan world, and talented people, no matter whether they're brown, white, gay, straight or trans, should have that opportunity too. It isn't the world of the white person, right? So of course there should be representation and inclusion. It shouldn't even be deemed as representation. It should be all talented people getting the same opportunities as the white guys and the white women. That's all it should be. What's this representation and inclusion thing? Oh, we're including you. Don't we deserve a pat on the head? Well, no. In a proper functioning industry, we wouldn't even be talking about representation and inclusion. We would just be going, well, we wouldn't be saying anything because it would be normal. The fact that it's not normal to have black leads and Asian leads and, gay leads and trans leads shows you how behind the times modern entertainment is. Because they are. There was a time when I used to go, oh, we can't have a black person in this. People may not watch it. That's the industry we're talking about. Now, for some reason, they allowed Eddie Murphy to be in Coming to America and Beverly Hills Cop, and they realised that it didn't really matter of the colour of the skin of whoever was leading a movie or TV show. As long as they were talented, of course, I could have told them that. So, because they've got a problematic history, they're trying to iron it out, but they're doing it in the wrong way. And this is the very fabric of the problem of Star Wars Disney Star Wars. That they've gone on this inclusive kind of train ride, but they've done it in the wrong way. The Acolyte is a fine example how you don't do representation and inclusion. Because it's not just an inclusive show. From what I've been told, the themes are so passive-aggressive. Very third-wave feminist. Who's going to watch that shit? It is terrible. It really is. It really is. The clips I've seen are terrible. What people have told me about it is terrible. And I'm just glad I didn't waste my eyesight and oxygen wasting it. The Acolyte is the very fabric of a broken down entertainment industry, more interested in political discourse and gaslighting than entertaining the masses. And that's why we don't have an entertainment industry. There was an actor on Twitter the other day, and he was talking about a show he used to be on, so I quote tweeted him and said, "We will never get shows like this anymore because the intention is not to entertain." Guess what? He liked what I said. I won't say who it is. He's actually guest starred on Smallville. You'll never guess who it is anyway. But yeah, so even the people working in Hollywood, the good ones, realise the intention is not to entertain anymore. The Acolyte didn't have the intention to entertain. So what was its real reasons for existing? To gaslight, to finger point, to look back at history. That's all it's interested in doing. So the arguments online is, it's the incels that cancelled it. The incels are racist. It's the normal shit. It's the normal shit that you have to hear. As I said, it wasn't men, incels, or fans, or nerdrotics who sunk the Acolyte. The Acolyte sunk itself. Kathleen Kennedy sunk the Acolyte before it even fucking started. Recruit a good female talent, storyteller. Recruit the best directors, the best writers, the best actors, whatever colour they are, whatever groups they represent, and give us great Star Wars, then this toxicity won't be a thing. But until you do that, we're going to keep on having situations like the Acolyte. But what's ironic, as I said on the other day on the back end of one of my videos, is how desperate Disney want us to know that they've cancelled the Acolyte. They know it's terrible. They know it's problematic. They're taking the toys away, the merchandise, everything. You won't see a trace of that series. They know how serious the situation is. If it was successful, it wouldn't have mattered, right? But it wasn't successful. Barely anybody watched it. It was fucking embarrassing for the mouse. Because the mouse are trying to fix what they broke. And to be the kind of studio that gave us Ratatouille, Toy Story, things like that, the Beauty and the Beast animated movie, it's very difficult for society to go back to stuff like that. Because we are in an era now where people do demand representation and inclusion. But all we ask, do you have to culturally swap iconic characters? I mean, Disney, can't you create new fairy stories for diverse characters? What was that? The Prince and the Frog one? That was good. Can't you do that? Create new stories, diverse stories for diverse actors and diverse characters. Is it that difficult? Well, with all the reboots and sequels and relaunches we're getting, maybe they simply don't have the imagination and talent to create new worlds for diverse characters and actors. No, strike that. It's obvious they don't have the talent or imagination. It's funny when they call something a reimagining. And I always say, don't you need an imagination to reimagine something? I'll be gone in a minute. It won't switch off.